So the vlog begins at Brisbane International Airport. This was first thing in the morning. Unfortunately, I did not get to record the first part of the vlog while we're still in Perth because we were quite late. This was my first time at Brisbane International Airport. I've only ever been to their domestic. We had two options in terms of lounges with my Revolut, which was the Aspire Airport Lounge at Brisbane International or the Plaza Premium Lounge. We ended up opting for the Plaza Lounge simply because the Aspire Lounge was basically inside the terminal in open space for whatever reason, and it didn't really look like it had a lot of facilities. So we ended up choosing the Plaza Premium Lounge, which ended up to be not so bad. It looks pretty brand new as well. The furniture there is still brand new. I like the design of it. It's quite small, but they've really sort of tried to be creative with their furniture pieces in terms of making the most of that space. In terms of the food, it was pretty early in the morning, so they had breakfast on. They had quite a few options. Again, nothing too special. If you've been to a lot of these lounges, you know that the food is generally just okay. It's, you know, food to get you by, nothing super special. We were able to get in for just 37 Australian dollars each, and that was through my Revolut subscription. For those of you that don't know what Revolut is, make sure to check out one of my shorts that I made on Revolut. So we flew Qantas on our first leg from Perth to Brisbane, and our second and final leg from Brisbane to Nadi was on Fiji Airways. So I was pretty excited. This was going to be my very first experience flying Fiji Airways. The food was pretty consistent with all the food that you get on any other airline, nothing too special. However, the hospitality was top tier. I cannot commend them more, and the legroom was amazing for economy. So I had a really good time flying Fiji Airways. So this is us when we just got in at Fiji International Airport. They had an amazing welcoming party with a local band singing music as we came in, which was brilliant. Our first stay for the night was at DoubleTree by Hilton, Sonaisali, which was sort of like an island hotel. And the reason why we're staying there is because we got in pretty late. And as you can see, we're off to a pretty good start. The hotel is located on an island that is literally just a few meters away from the mainland, meaning that to get to the island, you actually have to catch a little boat, which we thought was really cool. So the resort transport system is actually really amazing, and this boat is available 24/7, by the way. So anytime you want to go to the mainland or get onto Sonaisali Island, you just talk to the hotel staff and they'll get that arranged for you and you can make the trip. When we got there, they already had a golf cart waiting for us, which was really nice. So we pretty much just hopped on straight onto it and they drove us straight to the reception. At check-in, they gave us some delicious cookies and they welcomed us home, which was a very interesting thing in Fiji. Everyone welcomes you home. I guess it's a Mikasa Sukasa type of hospitality from Fijians, which is that their home is our home as well. Absolutely loved it. This is a quick room tour of the room that we stayed in at DoubleTree Sonaisali Island. It wasn't the best room that they had, but it was actually really nice and really spacious. I really liked it, and for what we paid for it, I was really happy with it, to be completely honest. We had 2 double beds there. We also had a wonderful balcony with a view of the ocean, which I will show you later on in the morning. And obviously, in typical birthday fashion, I went straight to tequila shots because it was, of course, my birthday. Yeah, you already know the vibes. We went for the buffet that night and they welcomed me with a very wonderful and thoughtful happy birthday song.
Happy long life to you. May God bless you. May God bless you. May God bless you. Happy birthday to you.
This is us in the morning, and on this day we had actually planned to go to one of the islands, which was the Malamala Beach Club, which is basically a tiny little island that also has a beach club. What happens is that they pick you up at your resort and then they drop you off at Port Dinnerau, which is basically the place where all the boats and all the ferries are caught in Fiji for all the day tours around all the islands. So this was our ferry right here, which was basically gonna ferry us out to Malamala Island, and I believe the ride was about 40 minutes. And as we sort of closed in on the island, you could start to see it in the distance, and it actually looked a lot smaller than what I imagined and what it looked like from the images on like TripAdvisor and stuff. I've personally never been on an island this small. What an experience it was. So this is us disembarking off the ferry, and this is Malamala Beach Club. This is the jetty that everyone comes off from, and as soon as you get onto the island, you just immediately get into the vibes. Why not? You two guys. They've got kayaking, they got snorkeling, they got all this gear just everywhere around the island, and it's literally just first come first serve. So whenever you feel like snorkeling, for example, you just pick up some gear and then you just do it free of charge. This all comes all inclusive with the package that you've paid for. The only thing that isn't included is just drinks and food, but access to all the facilities on the island is included. They actually had a tab system on the island where you basically just walk up to the reception, you give them your card, you open up a tab, which then allows you to order drinks and order food throughout the entire day, and they'll just put it on your tab, which I thought was a really nice touch, because swiping every single time, does get a little bit cumbersome. Remember, you are on vacation after all. You want as little hassle as possible, right? I somehow managed to find myself a cabana that was free, and then I just went out there, started creating content. I had the drone out, I had the boombo out, of course. Shout out to boombo if you know what that drink is. This is literally one of the best rums you can get out there. Absolutely love it. So I was just hanging out on this cabana and just look at the views, look at the water, look at everything. Take me back right now, please.
Anytime she goes away.
And of course, you already know with the birthday behavior, it was just drink after drink after drink. I pretty much ordered every single cocktail they had on the menu, and I am not even ashamed to say it. So this is us at the end of the day. This is us clearing our bill because our ferry was a couple of minutes out to pick us up and take us back to Port Dinnerau. And there she was, our South Sea Cruises ferry, and we were on our way back to Port Dinnerau after what was a surreal experience and an amazing day out on the islands in Fiji. This is us back at Port Dinnerau now, and basically they organize all the transport from your resort to Port Dinnerau and then back. Later on that night, we wanted to try out Bazaar Restaurant and Bar, which is a buffet restaurant at the Sofitel Fiji Resort and Spa on Dinnerau Island, which is supposedly the best and top-rated restaurant on the entire island of Nadi. This place was absolutely amazing, and as you can see, the video does it no justice. There was so many different options. This is literally the best buffet I've ever had in my entire life. They had crab, they had seafood, had anything you can think of. This was the next day. Woke up in the morning, and here is the view of the ocean. On this day, we actually ended our stay at DoubleTree and moved to Marriott Momi Bay, where we were greeted with such an amazing welcoming party. Got that on camera. With some music and some drums. It was magical. The hospitality was unbelievable. The resort itself, first impressions were just unbelievable. It looked like it was really going to be a good stay. And of course, they offered me a mimosa at the start of it, and I wasn't gonna say no. And I actually ended up having so many mimosas that day because our room wasn't actually ready yet. So we pretty much just had to wait for the room. And while waiting, I just helped myself to their free complimentary mimosas. And I should have known that this would come back to bite me. And this is just a tour around the resort as well. And as you can see, they have the over-the-water bungalows, they call them. And this is us on our golf cart to our over-water bungalow. When we got there, they had happy birthday on the bed for me, which was really nice and sweet of them. And just look how amazing this room is, guys. This is quite literally the best hotel room I've ever stayed in my entire life. This was just magical. I cannot even, just thinking about it now gives me chills. That's how amazing this place was. And of course, it was pretty pricey. A lot of people like this resort because it is sort of like a cheap alternative to the over-the-water cabanas and bungalows in places like Maldives where they can get super expensive. So this is just yet again another room tour showing you all the spaces of the room, and it's just super massive. There's just so much space in there, and you've got access to the lagoon as well. You can swim in there. The water was crystal blue. It was just vibes. At this point, it's probably a bit hard to tell from the video, but I was super drunk, guys. I'd pretty much drank like 10 mimosas at this point, and it was slowly but surely gonna hit me. And then at this point, this is where you can clearly tell that things were not great. At this point, I was literally like 30 minutes away from just completely blacking out.
It's at this moment he knew he fucked up.
And yeah, my day abruptly came to an end, unfortunately. Woke up the next morning after having a really long night where I was super sick, super drunk, I was vomiting all over the place. Yeah, I know, classy, right? But hey, look, it was my birthday vacation, so don't judge me, right? So I woke up in the morning to some dehydrated pineapple and some water. I was still super hungover, I was so tired, and you could see it on my face. Just the look on my face, it looks like I was hit by a bus or something. The day before had been a really long day, and it was all because of those pesky mimosas. I made sure from that day onwards to never drink again, or so I promised myself. So later that afternoon, we went to try out a restaurant and bar on the property that was called Voi Voi Bar. They had a guy playing music there, which was really nice. And they had quite an interesting menu. For lunch, it didn't have many options, but after ordering it, it was really nice. I actually liked the food at this place. The key dish of the day was this snapper. I really liked it. It had like this little sort of like vegetable vinaigrette salad with pineapple in it. It was delicious. So later on that day, we actually moved out of our over-the-water bungalow because it literally cost like $1 million a day. And we downgraded to a more accessible room, which was a lagoon view room, which is where we basically stayed for the remainder of the 7 days while we're in Fiji. It was actually a really nice room. You had a nice balcony. You had some chairs outside there, and you had some fish swimming in the lagoon as well. It actually wasn't bad. This room was obviously considerably more affordable than the over-the-water bungalow. I mean, guys, to this day, the over-the-water bungalow, I still look at that bill and I'm like, yep, that was crazy. So later on that afternoon, we decided to go check out the Fishbar, which is one of the bars and restaurants that is on the very end of the property near the ocean. It was a very nice place. It's vibes. They've got a massive pool there, an infinity pool. And basically, this was the only pool that was available during our stay in Fiji for grown-ups, simply because their other pool, or the main pool, was going through some renovations that they were doing on it.
Did you realize?
Hello.
Hey, how are you? You like my singing?
Yes, beautiful.
Later on that evening, we had a reservation at the Fishbar, and this was going to be a cabana dinner. So all it is a private dinner in one of their little cabanas that are private. and I think they've got 3 or 4 of them, and it's really nice, but also super expensive again. And as you can tell from the menu, this place was on the pricey side. If I had to be honest, this is this is definitely the most expensive restaurant that we ate at while we're in Fiji. The package that we got was basically the Cabana package, which meant that to rent the Cabana was 300 Fijian dollars, and then I think an additional 300 for the food. So it was a set menu, and as you can see here, we paid 590 Fijian dollars, which is a lot of money. Next morning, we got a taxi and headed straight into Nadi, and we were actually going to Port Dinnerau. So this is what Fiji CBD looks like. And guys, for those of you that don't know what Galitos is, you need to try this out. If you like Nando's, Galitos is like a version of Nando's. It is amazing. So this is just us at Port Dinnerau waiting for our boat. And this is the boat that we got onto when we were heading to the Cloud9 bar and platform, which is basically a floating bar in the middle of the ocean. This is crazy. This was the most insane thing I've literally ever been on, and it was absolute vibes, as you can obviously imagine. And as soon as we got there, first thing I did was just went to the bar, started ordering some drinks, and this was a very special experience. It was a little bit overcast, but lucky for us, it didn't rain or anything. As a matter of fact, the clouds ended up clearing up later on, and the sun was shining, and of course the water was crystal blue like it always is in Fiji. This is on the boat ride back to Port Dinnerau, and man, I am telling you guys, we had these Kiwis that were on the boat with us, and these guys, this family they were just living their best lives. So this is us when we got back to Port Dinnerau, and again, they gave us transport to and from our hotel. So this is our ride back to Marriott Momi Bay. Later on that evening, we decided to go have dinner at Goji Bar, which basically has a buffet dinner every night at Marriott Momi for all the residents. The food was alright, they had quite a lot of options, and it was a decent buffet, but look, if I had to rank it, it was nowhere near the buffet that we had at Bazaar. And here's the food that I got. It had a lot of options, but if I had to rate it out of 10, I'd probably give it about a 6.5 out of 10, simply because it was more just your classic low to mid tier buffet and nothing super exotic and super special. The next morning we woke up and went for breakfast, which is also had at the Goji Bar on the Marriott property. And this is the breakfast that they had. And again, obviously this being breakfast, some pretty basic stuff, a lot of options, but nothing too special. I liked the fact that they had a lot of fruit. They actually had a lot of cheeses as well, which was pretty nice. Look, you got a sandwich bar, you can get some cold meats up in here. God bless the lady that was freshly pressing the juice. It was very delicious. Shout out to Anise, our room help, who was basically servicing our rooms every day. We absolutely love you. Every single day she would leave us a note and she would make this little animal with a towel. We absolutely love you, Anise. That afternoon we went jet skiing, which is one of the activities that you can actually do on the resort, and it was a great time. Gave me a chance to pull out the drone and get some shots as well, which was beautiful. We also ended up going for lunch at Voi Voi again, which is basically one of the only restaurants that are open at lunch, and that's the food that we had. It was pretty delicious. really fast golf cart ride. Later on in the evening, we headed to Fishbar to the infinity pool to watch the sunset, which is of course the only adult pool that was available during our stay. Later at night, we again went for the Goji buffet simply because we just were super tired. We just didn't want to spend the time going back to Nadi, which was about an hour's drive away, and you've got to factor in the cost of a taxi to do that as well. Momi has its disadvantages in the sense that it is quite far away from Nadi. However, I like how they've built it as a resort. It's got everything you need there. You could literally spend an entire vacation just at Momi Bay. They've got plenty of water activities. They've got helicopter rides. They've got, snorkeling, jet skiing, paddle boarding. They've got everything you can think of all on that one resort, which is nice. The next morning, we woke up and got a taxi ride to, well, you guessed it, Port General again. This time we went to catch yet another boat ride. This time, this was a boat ride hosted by Captain Cook Cruises, which is weird because we've got Captain Cook Cruises here in Australia as well. But anyway, the boat was amazing. It was like this hybrid sailboat that basically looks like a classic sailboat, but it's actually got some engines in it. But the crew actually do use the sails to boost its cruise speed, and we were going to an island called Tivua Island, and there you can see it coming into the distance. Again, one of those really small islands. It's a beautiful island. Once you get on the island, everyone is just sort of free to go wherever they want. There are free cabanas all around the island and spots to just hang out. Later on, we went in the glass-bottomed boat to go have a look at some of the corals in the area, which was a nice touch. This was all inclusive as well with what we paid for the entire Tivua Island experience. When we got back, lunch was served. They had tons of salads, they had tons of food, and again, look, it's a buffet style lunch, nothing super special, but it was just good, hearty, homemade food, and it was very delicious. And I love the fact that there's always fruit options in Fiji wherever you go. On the boat ride back, the Captain Cook crew decided to sing us a very special Fijian song called Isa, I believe. It was beautiful. I remember we all enjoyed the song, so thank you so much to them. Once we got back to our hotel room, again, we had a wonderful note from a niece who had serviced our room, and this time she made us a little dog, which was beautiful. Later on, we went to the Lagoon house for dinner, which is yet another restaurant on the Marriott property, and these were the vibes. The food was super delicious. I got this salad. It was sort of like a flair between fruit and octopus and sausage salad, which was really delicious. Then I got this, which was the fish and like a tomato and prawn sauce. It was absolutely delicious. The next day in the morning, we basically woke up and went for breakfast at Goji again. After breakfast, we stumbled across this Australian guy that was riding a flight board. And for those of you that don't know what that is, that's an e-foil, which is basically like an electric surfboard. And he was basically liaising with the hotel management. They wanted him to create a video for their Christmas festivities that they were going to do that week for the kids. 6 o'clock. 6? Yeah. Okay, here's 100 Fijian dollars for those of you that don't know what it looks like. There you go. Later that afternoon, we went to this section at Voi Voi Bar where they had these local women that were selling a lot of Fijian artifacts and souvenirs of all different types. We just basically bought a couple of things that we wanted to bring home with us, like fridge magnets and surfboards, little miniature surfboards, etc. We then went to Lagoon House to have lunch and some drinks, simply because we just didn't really want to go anywhere at this point. I'm telling you guys, Momi Bay is literally so far away from Nadi that once you get there, you really don't want to spend any more money and time going in and out of Nadi and Port General and so on. So I just ordered a Caesar salad, which was very delicious. Later that evening, we had what they call a Kava ceremony. Kava is basically just a root vegetable that the locals grind into a powder, mix with water, and then drink. It supposedly has medicinal attributes and it supposedly gives you good health. And this is me taking it right here. It was actually quite an interesting experience. It was a very interesting bonding experience and it really got us close to the Fijian culture, which I enjoyed.
We have something similar in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Same root, yeah.
What's that one?
So it's a similar thing. It's also a root, but like what they use it for, like it's like traditional medicine. So if you drink it, you apparently will like cure a unsettled stomach.
Yeah.
But apparently it also helps, like if you have like a headache or whatever, you just drink it, helps you with that as well.
Later that evening, which was our last evening, we decided to go back to the fish bar simply because I wanted to try out the crab tian, guys. This was by far the best dish that I had throughout my entire stay in Fiji. Here it is right now. It is such a scrumptious dish. It is so delicious. If you're ever in Fiji on this resort, make sure to go to the fish bar and try out the crab tian. And this is us on the golf cart on the way back to our room on what was our last night. Next morning, we just woke up and basically caught our taxi that we had booked the day before, and we basically said bye to Marriott for the last time.
Bye bye, Marriott.
We didn't actually get a chance to fly the Fiji regional flights, which is something that we had planned to do, but unfortunately we couldn't. Once at the airport, I was very disappointed to find out that all the souvenirs and artifacts I bought at Momi, I could have just bought at the airport, and they were significantly cheaper there too. So if you find yourself in Fiji and you're looking for souvenirs, don't buy them at any of the resorts. Just wait to buy them at the airport. Save yourself some dollars. Top tip. And this is just airport vibes while we waited for our flight. We were flying back to Perth, connecting via Sydney International Airport, which is very interesting because I had never actually been to Sydney's International Airport. Again, the food on Fiji Airways was alright, nothing to write home about. It was in line with what you get in any world-class airline out there. And this is at Sydney Airport. We finally got to the domestic terminal where I found out that there isn't access to any lounges there on my Revolut. So we basically just had to chill in the terminal, and then Qantas delayed our flight to Perth, which was completely surprising. Oh, maybe not.
Qantas.
This is where the Fiji vlog comes to an end. I did not record anything for the final leg of the journey because I was just over it at this point with the flight delays with Qantas and everything. Reflecting back on my stay in Fiji, this is what I have to say. Fiji has some of the most beautiful islands in the entire world. The country is made up of over 300 islands. We got to experience just a handful of those, and they were absolutely breathtaking. But I think what makes this place so special is the people. Fijians are some of the most welcoming, friendly, and honest people that I've ever met, and quite simply, their hospitality is unmatched in my opinion. There is not one moment where I felt like I wasn't home, and I am so happy that I picked Fiji to spend my 30th birthday. It was such a special vacation, and I cannot wait to visit again. If you made it this far in the video, then you're definitely a real one, because I know this video was super long, but it was a birthday vlog, so you know I had to. Make sure you're subscribed for more videos like this in the future. In the kind words of my fellow Fijian brothers and sisters, Vinaka.